Welcome back to another episode of the STL Real Estate Roundtable podcast. I'm your host, Jaden Barr, CEO and team leader of Keller Williams Chesterfield. And today I'm joined by a very special guest. Lindsey Reichelt.
Hi, Jaden.
Hi, Lindsey. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. I'm doing phenomenal. I'm so glad that you took time out of your schedule to chat today. And I'm excited to learn more about your business and then, give you an opportunity to share all your wisdom and real estate expertise with everybody that's watching.
Oh,
so,
perfect.
Let's go. Let's go. Awesome. So for those of you that don't know, Lindsey was actually the person that encouraged me to get into real estate.
Yeah.
Right. So how did you get started in real estate and what did you do prior?
Well, first of all, when I watch you excel at what you're doing, I always think it's so cool that I get to be a part of the beginning of your career. Yeah. So, I think that's a really cool thing. So the question was, how did I get started in real estate? I've always loved all the careers I've had. I've only taken jobs that I've really enjoyed. For me, the catalyst was having kids and wanting to do something more for my family. I felt like real estate was a place where I could kind of make it my own and grow the business the way I wanted to. Real estate carries some pretty crazy hours, as you know, but they're the hours that I set and I work with the people that I want to work with. And therefore, I can really make the business what I want it to be. When you have kids, they became my priority. And so I just wanted to do something where I could build a legacy for them and continue to do something that brought me a lot of joy and something that I thought that I could do well.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So kids is kind of what led you into real estate.
Yeah. And as you know, I was at the country club. I was membership director at the country club and loved the job. But kind of funny enough, one of our colleagues there, his girlfriend is a real estate agent. She came in to bring him lunch one day. We got to talking. She's like, I think you'd make a really good real estate agent. Something that maybe I thought about a little bit before, but she took me to lunch. And honestly, I had my license a month later and I never looked back. And it was just kismet in some ways that it happened that way.
Yeah.
But like I said, never look back. I just love what I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know, my wife, Rachel, she looked up to you so much and, really valued, you just pouring into her in that role. And, she loved that role while she was in it. And then now she's in kind of a similar stage where, she's, we have a daughter, obviously, and she's kind of at that stage where she's like, man, family time is so precious. Yeah, and
exactly,
that sort of thing. So
I appreciate Rachel because she was so good at what she did and really brought me a lot of joy in what I was doing. I felt very comfortable because I loved my role. I was working with good people. I felt comfortable leaving that position because I had her in my place and knew that she was going to take off with it. So.
Yeah. So you mentioned being a mom. Yeah. So boy, mom.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you see my eyes?
Two boys. Yeah. So talk to me about your favorite part of being a mom and then how real estate kind of plays into that. There's a lot of agents watching that they value family time. They love their career. And, one thing that I've noticed is agents that are under 10 million in volume, they want more money. Agents that are above 10 million in volume, they want more time.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
It's a delicate balance, right? Like you said, you work crazy hours in this industry. So how do you balance all that? And, what do you love about being a mom?
Yeah, well, I love everything about being a mom. Well, yeah. I guess most of it is about being a mom, but it really drives me. It's kind of my why. Something we talk a lot about in the real estate business. But I think what having kids really taught me is the difference between urgency and importance. And sure, there are things that are urgent that are also important. But there are a lot of things that we spend our time on that we feel like we need to get to right away. And it's not necessarily what's important. And having kids has really taught me they're the reason that I do what I do. So do I need to get to this exact thing at this exact moment? I will get to it as, I will take care of the things I need to take care of. But what's important to me is making sure that my kids know that they're the number one thing in my life and that, I do all things because of them. So that family time and really focusing and being present when I'm with my kids is something that's really, I think presence where I am, putting my, being where my feet are at has really changed my outlook on life and my business as a whole. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then you love to travel as well. So I know there's a lot of agents out there that they're like, I can never take a vacation. What would my clients ever do without me, right? So talk to me about kind of your process for whenever you do take those vacations, whenever you do prioritize family time away from St. Louis or wherever you're serving. Like, what's kind of your system or process for managing that?
I mean, this is a struggle for all of us, right?
Yeah.
So it's
100%.
It's hard because as real estate agents, especially solo agents, we are business owners. And so if we're not in the business, we feel like our people who are also very important to us are not getting taken care of. So it's something that you learn along the way. It's like, how do we take care of those people? And I think building a lot of really good relationships in real estate is important. We were just talking about that offline a moment ago, is like taking care of the people around you, building those relationships where if somebody else, another agent in my office goes out of town and says, like, hey, can you help out? I will never say no if I'm available to do it because I'm going to need that same support at some point. So again, building those relationships, having somebody that has your back. And, we are working when we're on vacation. Let's not lie about it.
Right.
But prioritizing that, maybe getting up a little earlier than the kids, knocking out all the work that I can, and letting some of it go that doesn't need to be dealt with at that exact moment.
Very few emergencies in real estate, right? A lot of things can be pushed to another time. So what do you think was the key to your early success? Because I know, you went on maternity leave at the club, right? Got into real estate, and then you were like, yeah, I'm just going to do this thing full time, right? Because you were crushing it right out of the gate. And so that was really inspiring to me because, I was miserable in a corporate job when I first got started, and it's not for everybody. And so I was kind of in a similar position where I was like, I know a lot of people say it takes a while for this to kind of get rolling. And I'm looking at Lindsey and I'm like, she's kind of crushing it. Like, it doesn't seem like it was too hard for her. So that was really inspiring for me when I first got started. I'm like, Lindsey's crushing it. I'm going to learn from her and figure out how to make this work. So what do you think was the key to your early success?
I mean, honestly, I think it was a weird time to get into real estate. It was just everything was gangbusters in terms of real estate. I learned a lot really, really quickly.
Because you had to. It was fast.
So I worked it. Yeah. And I loved it, and I think what we do, to me, is absolutely the most rewarding thing I could do in my life. I can't imagine doing anything else because, this is such an important part of people's lives, and they ask us to be a part of it. How cool is that? And so I think that genuinely caring, taking care of my people, and just showing that I am excited about it and passionate really showed people, she's doing it and she's loving it, and I want to work with her, reaching out to my sphere and not another person reaching out and trying to get business, but like, hey, I want to add value to your lives. How can I do that? I don't know. And a lot of it is just being in the right place at the right time and doing what you're meant to be doing.
About relationships, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And what I've gathered or noticed, obviously I'm still relatively new to the industry compared to some people that have been doing it for 20, 30 years, but very low barrier to entry. There's thousands of agents for people to pick from. So whenever somebody chooses to work with me, not taking that for granted, not taking that lightly, right? Serving them at a really, really high level. And, what I've come to find out is that it's not that hard to set yourself apart. Like, yes, there are lots of agents that are phenomenal at what they do. And that's part of the reason why I've started this podcast, was to learn from other agents, develop those relationships that are so important. But if you treat people well, you know what you're doing, you're knowledgeable, and you're good with relationships and communication, like, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to crush it in this industry, just like you would in any other.
On the flip side of it, it's like, you don't have to work with everybody. Everybody's not going to want to work with you. Yeah. And that's okay. And so I think that when you learn that, and you can really focus on the people that you want to serve at a high level, it really allows you to be laser focused and provide that level of service that otherwise, if you're torn in a million different directions that you don't want to go in, you might not be as, top level as you could be.
So I had somebody tell me once that some of the best deals you'll ever do are the ones you don't. So that goes to, choosing who you want to work with, and, what a blessing it is to be at a point in the business where you're not having to work with every single lead that comes in, right? You're able to kind of find your tribe, right? And serve those people at a really high level. So one thing you mentioned is, going along with that of, finding your people, finding your tribe. I know you're big in mom Facebook groups, right?
Yeah,
or
my local
Facebook
one
groups.
especially. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And you get a lot
do.
of business from that, right?
I get a lot of business from my mom tribe in Maplewood, Richmond Heights,
Yeah.
Facebook and otherwise, just because, you know, we all love the same things. That's our kids in our school district. And
Yeah.
I get a lot of business from them.
Yeah. So where else are you seeing business come from right now? Is it sphere referral, past clients?
It's mostly referrals. I take really good care of my people, and I don't just mean my clients. I mean, you know, my vendors, I can't do what I do without them. So I get a lot of referrals from my vendors because I'm grateful for them. And I think that shines through. My flooring guy sends me referrals. He doesn't know how I operate as a real estate agent, but he knows I care about people.
Yeah.
So he sends me business, and I get referrals, believe it or not, from agents in my market that might not have the bandwidth to take on a client, or that client's not a good fit for them. And so I think really building those relationships and taking care of all the people around you and showing them that you love what you do is just a good source of business for me. It's not intentional always. It's just, you know, loving what I do.
Yeah.
But I do get a lot of referrals from that. And I would say this is the time of year we're always looking at our past business and just looking over my business for the year. It is almost 100% referral based.
Yeah. So you mentioned looking at business, kind of planning for next year. Any big goals or any big vision for your business going forward?
I do have some pretty big things in the works for 2025 that I'm not really at liberty to talk about yet. But so we, talk about our challenges as real estate agents is just trying to do everything, right? It's like we are business owners, so we are doing the accounting, we are doing the marketing, we are doing all the little minutiae of things that we don't necessarily find joy in.
Yeah.
So a big vision of mine is leveraging some of that so I can focus 100% on what I love to do, and that's taking care of my people. There's some big things at play in terms of that. And then also I really find a lot of joy in mentoring and just building relationships. And so in 2025, I'd like to spend a lot more focus on that aspect.
Yeah. Awesome. So, take me through any big lessons learned over the years or anything, any moments that kind of stand out,
Yeah, sure. I think we've hit on a couple of them,
Yeah.
Importance over urgency is a huge one. Knowing what business to take and what business and where to focus all of your energy is huge for me. And then just learning to find joy in the little things, whether it be business or personal life. It's just, I wake up every day with a grateful heart and an open mind. And I think that takes me a long way because, what real estate's been like for the last year. There are plenty of opportunities to be burdened by the things that you can't control, but waking up grateful that there are plenty of things that you can control and really build a life that we love is awesome, really.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a ton of agents that I think struggled over the past year that had a downturn in their business. You can blame that on interest rates. You can blame that on election year. You can blame that on so many different things, but there's also agents that are having their best year ever. And so how does that make sense, right? You can look at things as excuses or like you just said, have gratitude for what you do and, pour into people that you really care about and treat people well. And then, that's going to lead to some good business and then go do the work. Right.
Yeah, right.
And stop worrying about what you can't control, show up and do the work, and then the work's going to take care of you. So, what would you say is a challenge that you're working through right now? You kind of already touched on it, like leverage, getting your time back. Is there anything else that because people, we like hearing about all the good things, but I think what people really want to learn is Lindsey looks like she's got it all together and she's got it all figured out.
Find out.
Right. And I know because I talk with agents all the time, nobody knows what they're doing. We're all just figuring this out. Right. So what are some things that you're currently working through that are going to make your business better going forward?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest one is just leveraging and figuring out where to focus my energy. I think I'm loving being in my 40s because what I have learned is a lot of things about what I'm not good at and what I don't enjoy.
Yeah.
And so I really have spent a lot of time figuring out what those things are that I do enjoy doing and leaning into those and stopping to do, I might get in trouble for saying this on a real estate podcast, but I don't find joy in cold calling or door knocking. There are agents that build really crazy, amazing businesses from that. But I want to have longevity in this business. I want to do things that bring me joy. And so, I don't know, really leaning into those things that just can make me happy with what I do and allow me to show up for people. I really see how I avoided your question because, I mean, I think.
We'll go with lead gen. There's so many different ways to generate leads and generate business. Like, you're an entrepreneur, you're an independent contractor. Like, you can run your business however you want to run your business. And so that's kind of the beauty of real estate. And I think why so many of us love it is that if you love cold calling, you can make your business off cold calling, because there's so many agents that don't want to do that. There's agents that hate social media, agents that is their only form of lead generation. They like and comment and engage with people on social media. There's door knocking. Like, we have agents in our office that they love door knocking, and I could not think of anything more miserable in my life than going and knocking on doors, right? So it kind of is what you want it to be, and like, there's so many different ways. I just recommend to people, like, pick what you love, like what you find joy in, what you enjoy doing, and then go do it consistently. Yeah. So what does your lead generation look like? Like, how do you generate those referrals? Do you lead generate? Because there's so many agents that don't, right?
Sometimes unintentionally. But I do. I think that if I have 30 minutes that I have set to lead gen, the way I'd rather spend my time is connecting with my people, whether that be my past clients, vendors that I've used, businesses that I enjoy, going to, just connecting with people and finding out if I can provide something of value to them, or just having that connection. Because I feel like in a world where everything is largely like online and we're just not really engaging with people, I think that is the most valuable thing to some people, is just like, hey, how are you really doing? Like, what's going on in your life? And, so in a way, that's lead gen. It's more just connection and bringing joy to people's lives. But I guess in that sense, that's my lead generation. And just like getting out there and talking to people.
Yeah. Go talk to people, right? I think
it's not that hard.
That's like one of my first questions whenever people are like, oh, business is down. I'm like, well, have you talked to everybody in your database and like a couple times a year? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, well, I would start there. Right?
These are people that already know you. They like you. They trust you.
Exactly.
So
we make it way more
place to start.
Make it way more complicated than it needs to be at times. And there's plenty of business to go around. So what would be like your biggest piece of advice to an agent that is just getting started, or somebody that's kind of, they've generated business, they have a solid business, but they want to get to like the level that you're at?
I think that it's something I just keep repeating. It's just like, make sure you're really, really taking care of your people. It could be something as easy as, you work with somebody, you like them, you have a friend that owns a business. What's one of the coolest things that happens to us as agents? People review us and give us a good testimonial. I love it. So why don't we do that to other people? Get online, shoot them a good review, tell them that you appreciate what they do for everybody. Getting out in front of people and just continually providing value to your people, I think is really important.
Yeah, 100%. So you got started during the COVID time, right? So it was a speed market. We touched on that. Like, you had to move 1 million miles a minute, and it wasn't I don't think it was really a skill market. It was like, how fast can we move? And now I think the market is kind of shifting. We can talk a little bit about that, but I think we're moving more towards a skill-based market. So talk to me about that. Like, what do you feel like is going to be most important heading into 2025 for agents, knowing that they need to be more skilled in this market?
Yeah, I mean, I think you really do have to hone in on your skills a lot. You have to know what's going on. I mean, we're bombarded with information every day. So weeding through that can be difficult, but finding, the pieces of information that you can convey to your clients to make sure that, I think expectation setting is going to be huge in 2025.
100%.
I mean, it's really difficult to know that your neighbor or your friend sold their house with 20 offers and 50,000 over, a couple of years ago. So I think it's really important for us as agents to educate people to set the correct expectations going in and really make sure that you're aligned on those things. I think that is going to keep a lot of people from feeling a lot of disappointment from not matching what has happened in the past.
Telling people what they need to hear, not just what they want to hear.
Yeah.
In order to
but
get
coming
the
from
business.
a place of care, I want to help you. And this is, I think, something that's really big is like, I can go into a listing appointment and I can say, what are your your counters made of? When did you replace the water heater? That kind of stuff, which is important. But when I go into a listing appointment, I want to find out why you're moving. I want to find out what drives you. I want to find out what your story is in this home and what's next. And because then we have the same goal in mind. It's like, I really want to help you retire and move to this beautiful place that you love. Let's do this together. How do we do that? How do we create this story for your home that's going to make somebody really emotionally attached to it so that you can get exactly what you want out of our relationship?
Yeah. And how do we position it in a way that helps you make the most amount of money, the least amount of time with the least amount of stress, right? Yeah. So as opposed to, listing it what the neighbor sold for,
2 years ago.
2 years ago, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it just doesn't always make sense that way. And like telling people that what they don't want to hear is not always the easiest thing to do. But I'm not in the business to list a house. I'm in the business to sell a house. And it's cliche, but it's like there are a lot of people that will take business just because they want to take the business,
or they need it.
Or they need to take the business, which I don't know. Desperation just smells, It's like you and I are both in the business of building relationships, and I'm not going to do that by just saying, well, what do you want to sell the house for? Let's give it a shot and see if it works. Yeah. That's not how we operate our businesses. And and I think that has attributed to our success quite a bit.
100%. Are there any questions that I should have asked you that I haven't yet?
Oh, boy.
What else should we talk about?
Oh, gosh. What should we talk about?
We talked about, before the podcast started, of the importance of agent-to-agent relationship. Like, how has that helped your business over time? Well, you're very outgoing. You're very personable.
And I like people. Yeah. And I think that, well, for one, it just makes what we do so much more fun. I mean, how many agents have you talked to that well, one, like you said earlier, don't pick up the phone, or two, like you can just tell they don't want to engage or talk to you, and that's fine. I don't need to force my conversation on you, but it's just like we're all doing the same stuff. We're all in this together. Yeah. There's enough business to go around for all of us, like you mentioned earlier. So let's have fun while we're doing it. We all have a similar goal. Like if we're representing the other side of a transaction, our similar goal is to get our clients to where they want to be, and butting heads is not really necessarily going to get us there. So
we didn't talk a lot about this, but I think it's really cool to just hear people's story of like how they got into real estate and then what they did prior. And like, I think it really shapes and impacts kind of how you run your business and what leads to, your success. So talk to me about like how you mentioned you loved all your previous jobs, right? And previous careers. So like what skills from those previous roles, how did they translate?
Before my careers, I really feel like I owe a lot to my parents for just being like super cool. So growing up, we lived on a bus that was converted to an RV for a couple of years just because my parents wanted to experience
I'm glad I asked that
the
question.
world. It's just like, and looking back on it now, at the time, who knows what I was thinking. I was young and like, why don't we have a house like all of our friends? But it was like, they wanted us to experience life. And I feel like I learned a lot about different people and experiences, and really like got a sense of adventure from them that I took into my careers. Moved around a lot after college just to experience different cultures and different things. And then had a couple jobs just in like a recreation role, but Hurricane Ivan one, and then Hurricane Katrina took me away from those jobs and landed my jobs in St. Louis. I was director of operations for a rock climbing gym, which was super cool because I'm just around people all day that love the same things I do. And
are you good at rock climbing?
Now? I'm good at being a mom. I enjoy it. Does that? Okay. Yeah, it was just like, but you're around really cool people all day, when you learn about their experiences. It was a lot about managing people and learning what makes people tick. I think I was also, as you know, the director of membership for the country club where I met Reichelt and ultimately you, which really was a fun job. I mean, it was really making connections and helping people. It was a cool country club where people wanted to spend time with their family and friends and like showing them what their life could be like at these fun events. It wasn't like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like hoity-toity or like...
was uppity.
Uppity. It's not like an uppity snobby club. It was just like a good place for people to come and build relationships, and it was kind of cool to be a part of that. So.
Yeah, my golf game has taken such a big hit this year. I mean, we had a
When did you go play
baby.
some golf then, right?
Had a baby. Reichelt left to take a different role that wasn't nights and weekends with events at the club. So
Are we allowed to talk about this? Is she getting into the real
I missed
estate
the
biz?
days. She has her real estate license. She's doing more of like the back end, like cleaning up my systems, all the things that I'm terrible at. She's helping out with that.
I love that
Yeah.
for you and for her.
We'll see how long it lasts.
She's gonna
We have very different work
process
styles, and sometimes they clash, but we're figuring it out. We're figuring it out. So, yeah.
Okay. And I'm also like super into puns. So I'm also wondering why you've never been like raising the bar real estate.
So, funny enough, that used to be my Instagram handle.
Okay.
That was my Instagram handle from the time I created Instagram. And then
Before real estate.
okay. And then I got rid of it. I felt like it was kind of like
Cringy.
yeah.
Yeah,
it was
I know.
cringy.
I know. I've been told that about my pun usage before, but
Yeah. But
I am who I am.
I could have leaned into it. I don't know. Well, maybe it'll make a comeback. Let's see.
You're probably right about it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're wrapping up here. So, question I ask every guest is, I believe that readers are leaders. Mm-hmm. So, talk to me about the most impactful book that you've read or listened to. I've included podcasts before because I know not everyone loves reading, but talk to me about your favorite book or most impactful book, personal, professional.
Sure.
The floor is yours.
Okay. Well, I do love to read. I read a lot. You're really putting me on the spot with the most impactful ever. I find that I fluctuate a lot between like fiction and nonfiction because in our business, we like just have so much information and we get so busy that sometimes it's
I would love it if you said a fiction book because that's phenomenal advice. Like we need an outlet to just unplug and like not be on our phone. Yeah,
I love
that.
And that's, I mean, so I do read a lot of nonfiction just to escape. And I can say that there's none that's really impacted my life. They're just a nice little escape for me. Yeah. There's a few books that I've read recently that I'd like to mention. One, I really liked Unreasonable Hospitality. Did you
read that
book?
this year.
Oh,
It's
okay.
on my list.
I really like that book. And that kind of took me on this like road of, I was reading a lot of like psychology books because I thought it was really cool to do a deep dive into some people that really knew what they were talking about when it came to that realm. And then the book I'm reading right now is actually really cool. It's been, it's called Visual Intelligence, and it's this art historian. She teaches the FBI, she teaches military, how to be more observant through art. And so she'll take them to an art museum and teach them how to really see, art. And hard to explain, but it's a really cool book. It's made me think a lot more about things that I haven't really spent any time thinking about before. And I just have really enjoyed it. So Visual Intelligence, I recommend picking it up.
That's awesome. So one thing that you've talked about over and over is just treating people really well, pouring into them, and then they get back to you, right? They reciprocate that business. So have you read the book Creating Superfans by Brittany Hodak?
I have not.
Okay. Good book. If you want something more practical and like, not the escape from real estate, but pretty cool book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Lindsey, thank you so much for taking time to sit down and chat with me today. I know listeners, viewers are going to get a lot out of this episode. And thank you so much for encouraging me to get into real estate. Because without you, I wouldn't be in this position that I'm in right now. So all credit goes to you. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was really awesome to catch up.
Awesome. We will see you on the next episode.